here. Masechtas here none. Machlokes Abai v'Rava. But Machlokes Abai v'Rava, if a man serves avodah zarah because he's afraid of the individual, so Abai says, okay, you still call avodah zarah. Still call avodah zarah. Rava says it's not called avodah zarah. Says the Tanya. Kohen Mashiach. You have a Kohen Mashiach, which is a Kohen Gadol. He has oil on his forehead. I mean, when he became a Kohen Gadol, and he does avodah zarah. What's normally a Kohen Mashiach doesn't bring a Karban Chatos when he forgets. Only when he forgets halacha. Only when he forgets halacha, not when he makes a mistake, other mistake. Right. Normally, only when he forgets halacha. He brings a carbon, not when he forgets not when he does a shogig in the Maisa. But Kohen Mashiach is different. Shogig Maisa means he knows avodah zarah is also, but he doesn't know this Maisa is also. No, Hadam Dava is even if he doesn't know avodah zarah is only when he doesn't know avodah zarah is also. That's when he will bring a carbon. The carbon you bring is the same as a yachid. Female soil. Okay. He doesn't bring an ashim tali. How do you have a case of avodah zarah that it's a shogig in the maisa? How do you have a shogig in the maisa? What does that mean? A shogig avodah zarah. What are you thinking? You know avodah zarah is asa. And what? And you think what? So hechadami. Basic who if it's a shul and you walk into this place, you think it's a synagogue and you bow down, and it turns out it was a church. That's not avodah zarah. His heart was l'shemayim, which means it's not avodah. It's not. You can do that in a shul also. You can do it in a. If a person goes to Beis avodah zarah, he bows to Hashem. It's not avodah zarah. It's not avodah zarah. It's got to do with the heart. So that won't be chayv a chatos. Won't be chayv a carbon. It's not avodah zarah. Ella the chaza in darta. Oh, he sees a statue of the king. Okay, and he bows down to it. And it turns out this statue was avodah zarah. So what? So he has a statue. He thought innocently it's just the king, paying respect to the king. So he wants to bow down to this statue, and then realize avodah zarah. It's the same thing. If you know this statue is a god, that's amazing. Ilav, if you didn't, then it's not avodah zarah. It's nothing. So how do you have a case with shogig? I get you can have a case with shogig. You don't know this is avodah zarah. How do you have a shogig in the Maisa, in the Pula? Shabbos, you can have a case. I don't know that I'm able to drive a car. That's one. I think it's part of Shabbos experience to drive cars. But avodah zarah, how do you have it? What's the case? If you think it's not avodah zarah, it's not. It's missing in the essence of avodah zarah. Oh, well, what?
You didn't know that by bowing down, that's the way they serve. You thought you said baras.
You say, well, okay, let's say he did a different avodah, but he didn't l'shem avodah zarah. That's called shogig? That's called shogig? What was he thinking? Maybe he's thinking, he doesn't want to worship avodah zarah, right. So the only case is, case is, I know it's avodah zarah, I know I'm bowing down avodah zarah, but I'm doing it because I'm afraid of this guy. Is that called avodah zarah or not? I know it's avodah zarah. I'm doing what the guy wants me to do. The Shem avodah zarah. I'm doing out of fear of this Hammam that made a decree. That's the case. That's a Beis raya. There's a thing called Shugas Maisa. Rav Amarach no. But I'm a mutter. No, it's all right. He thinks it's mutter. Framework we just said. I'm a mutter. He thinks it's mutter to worship avodah zarah. I'm mutter. I'm hanam dava. That's hanam dava. Says the Gemara. But oila mutter gamri. There's two types of I'm a mutter. One is you think this is not part of avodah zarah. Then you have another case. Adam dava is kia mixas or bitla mixas. You know you can't avodah zarah. You think this is not. That's called you think this is avodah zarah in the Torah, but not to bow down. So there's two cases. But Adam dava and gamri, that's a different case. Good. Tanur of Zakir, another eye. Tanur of Zakir kamadir yochta. We're going to know you. Zibach v'kiter v'nisach v'shtachve. A guy did all the worshipping activities in the book, in front of avodah zarah. He shechted and he maktir and he poured the wine and he bowed down. Had a mechad in one. We learned of South Beis. One forgetting. Einachad ela achas. It's called one avera, one carbon. Amalei, excuse me. Puk tana lebara. Disagree. Disagree. Says Rabbi Yechel. Not true. You have each one. He did 4 types of worshipping. He said you have 1 carbon. No, you have each one. Pick Talabara. Amr Bia Abba. Ha Amr of Zakai. He said this. Amr is how the Amr of Zakai. This should be an old machlokes, as old as the hills. If you have for each one, or you have 1. Where's this machlokes? The Tanya. On Shabbos, the Torah says in Parshas Vayakel, Lo Yisavaru Eish, V'chol Moshe Teichem B'Yom HaShabbos. Don't burn a fire on Shabbos. And the question is, why do you have a pasuk say don't burn a fire? You can't do any of the Lamates Malachas. You can't do any of the Lamates Malachas. This is machlokes. Avar the Lav Yatzis. If Yosef says the lav of making a fire Shabbos is only a lav, no misa. The Torah took out Havara from all the other Lamates Malachas. Say this is different, more lenient. Only a lav. Only lav. The Rabbi Yosef. Reb Nasan Omer, no, lachalek yatzis. He says no. You know why the Torah singles out Havara to say that if you do a few malachas, behelam echad, you chayv each one. You chayv each one. Lachalek yatzis. Lachalek yatzis. Don't say if you do driving your car and you take out some grass from the ground and you plant and you sow. You chayv one. No. Torah singles out like this when you chayv all of them on their own. Says the Gemara. So the man of Avar lachalek yatzis. So let's say the same thing here too. It says in the Torah by Avodah Zara, you can't bow down to Avodah Zara. Question mark. Why does it say you can't bow down? You can't do anything. Elamai. Same thing. You're stachma nam lachalek yatzis. Says the Gemara. The man of Avar lalav yatzis. Stachma nam lalav yatzis. We should say the same thing. Look, by bowing down to Avodah Zara. The man of Avar lachalek yatzis. Stachma nam lachalek yatzis. Mask of Yosef, no shaykhs. The Ma'at Kelei Kamer Beis Asam Havar Lav Yatzes. You know why Rabbi Yossi there by Shabbos says that making a fire is only a lav? Because the concept of saying Yichav each one, the Nafle Chilik Malachas Ba'achas Mehina. We have another source how he knows already that when you do 5 Chil Shabbos in one go, the person's Chayav 5 Kabbanos. We know from another source. So this is extra. That's why we learn that the Pasuk Lisvar Eish teaches this. But the Gabba Vayzori, we don't have that. That means first option will be the lav. Sorry, first option will be lachalik. By Shabbos we have already a pasuk that tells us lachalik. Which pasuk? The Tanya Beis. Pasuk says va'asa ma'achas mehena. Now these 2 words are extra. So we dash in 4 drushes. Achas is 1. Mehena is all the malachas. So we say pamush chayav achas al kulan. One time you have 1 carbon for many malachas. Or pamush chayav al kalachas v'achas. Sometimes you chayav for Chil Shabbos, Heino Karbonis. Heino means a lot, Achas is 1. Sometimes we're going to explain in a second. Sometimes you have 1 carbon for a lot, sometimes you have a lot for 1 Chil Shabbos. Oh yeah, no, it's true. If it's different lamas, good. Different lamas, no shaila. Talk about Helamech. My time review, see the sieve, but also may Achas may Heino. So we dash like this. This Gemara comes with a few places of Shas, remember. Achas may Achas. You didn't have to say me'achas because it said achas. So that's 1 drasha. Then you have heina me'heina, another drasha. It says achas me'achas me'heina. The mem is extra. Then you have achas she'heina me'heina she'achas. So now let's explain these 4 drashas. Achas is Shimon. Person writes down the word Shimon. That's achas. Me'achas, the mem minimizes it. It's less. It means Shem Shimon. A person doesn't write the whole word Shimon. Right, only the Shiur Mem. Shiur Mem itself is enough to be over. Even though it's trying to write the whole thing, Shem. Good. Heina is avos. A person does Heina, which those are the ikka ones. Meheina is Taldes. Meheina, like less. Taldes. Good. That's the drasha of the achas and the me'achas. Heina meheina. Now we have another drasha to play with. Sometimes you do 1 chilul and you have a lot of kabbalas. Sometimes you do a lot of chilulim, you have 1 carbon. Achas sheheina means Zodin Shabbos. You know it's Shabbos. B'shigas malachas. Do a lot of malachas. There's 1 chil Shabbos. You bring a lot of carbonas. That's achas called 1. I mean, it's 1. It's not 1 alam malachah like she's saying. Zodin Shabbos, shigas malachas. You never do malachas also. You bring a lot of carbonas. Heina sheachas, the other round. Shigas Shabbos. A lot of Averas bring one carbon. Shigas Shabbos, Bezadim Malachas. Be Shigas Shabbos, Bezadim Malachas. So I can put him, the point of the drush is, you know already, the guy does all these Averas, he gets carbonas each one. But over here, that we don't learn out from another place. Here, everybody will agree that Ishtachava comes to Chalek. No shaykhs. But by the Zara, everybody will agree that the pasuk of Ishtachava will tell us that Yechayev for Chelik Malachas. Why can't I use the pasuk Achas Behena? This pasuk is not talking about Avodah Zarah. It's a general pasuk. It's a general pasuk. Says the Gemara, why can I learn from there? Chelik the Malachas Avodah Chavim. Nami Tepik Le Ma'achas Behena. Do the same shtickle Torah. A man does Achas Behena. All four drashes I can write down for you. Achas is Vicha. One is you do a real shchita to Avodah Zarah. Me Achas is Seven Echad. Me Achas if you shach one seven. Heina is Avos. What's Avos? You have the Avos of Avodah Zarah. Zibuach Kita Nisach Shtachava. Me Heina Taldos. Same thing again. I can use exactly what you said by Shabbos for Avodah Zarah. Taldos Shabbat Maklef now. We broke a stick in front of Avodah Zarah. Achas Sheheina. Same thing again. I do one Avodah Zarah. I bring a lot of kabbanas. What's that? Zodin Avodah Kechavim. I was amazed at Avodah Zarah. Shigas Avodas. I know you know Avodah Zarah and Shigas Avodas. It's a surprise I'm talking. We'll see in it soon what's the case. Heino Sheachas. Heino Sheachas is Shigas Avodas Kechavim. Heino Sheachas is Shigas Avodas Kechavim. Zodin Avodas. That's the bright. Okay. So you have a case of Shigas Avodah Zarah and Zodin Avodas Kechavim. You explain to me what that is. Okay, what's the case? Same thing again. Shogig Avodah Zarah doesn't seem to exist. Hi Shigas Avodas Kechavim Heichadam. Eager some basic Knesset, so if you think it's a shul, he's trying to serve Hashem. Ella the Chazah and Dartim, Sagan, and he bowed down to Dartim. Even the Kabbalah on it, Mason. Either like Kabbalah, like Klumu. Elam Avayira. Ella by the case, only case of Shogig is Avayira. Hanich Labad of a Chayev. Fear bias is Chayev, that's good. And the Rava, the bottom Potter Michael Maimer. And the Rava says Potter Michael Maimer. Ella says more about Imamutta. The case is Imamutta. Oh, really? The guy think Mutta by Zara. Yeah, you have to bring a carbon about Imamutta. Is one Chayev, Imamutta, Chayev to bring carbon? Before he said, yeah, Tifsha the boy Benay, Rav Mer Nachman, Helam Zev Zeb Yadamahu. The guy doesn't know anything. Thinks it's Mutta by Zara. There's no is about Zara in the Torah. What's going to be then? So as more Tifsha Benay, the boy Rav Mer Nachman, Helam Zev Zeb Yadamahu. Say we're Tifsha, the Chayev, yeah, right, the Chavelachas, the Chayev one. Hala Kasha, Tifsha, yeah. For anymore, no. Can't be. This possible Asam Achas Behena cannot possibly be talking about Avodah Zarah. Why? Here it says in the pasuk, if you are a Kohen Gadol and the Kohen Gadol sinned with Avodah Zarah, sinned with this parasha, he brings a par, brings an ox of a nasi so'er, and if a regular person brings a nasi of a shevet brings a so'er, of a yachid kisvas ira, and a yachid brings a sheep. That's the pasuk that says in the parasha of Asa Achs Behena. By Avodah Zarah says v'shavin shebasira v'yachid. By Avodah Zarah, everybody's in the same boat. Everybody brings a sira. Doesn't matter on your position. Doesn't matter who you are. You bring only a sira like a yachid. Therefore, that's abgefragt. That's no. The Asa Achs Behena parasha cannot possibly be talking about Avodah Zarah. Come to Avodah Zarah. Sulamidi. Kaser spiel by Huda Amar. Hachatana Kamei. Chayma Shabbos V'Shamitzvos. We have a new Beis, which will also be a kasha. Says the Beis. Chayma Shabbos V'Shamitzvos. Shabbos, in a way, is more common than other mitzvahs. Chayma Shabbos V'Shabbos. The Beis is going to explain in a certain vein. Shabbos is more common than other mitzvahs. In a certain vein, other mitzvahs are more common than Shabbos. Says the Beis. Chayma b'Shabbos. Shabbos is more common than what? Shabbos also shtein b'helem echad. A man forgot at Shabbos, and he did two averas. He cooked a soup, and he drove his car. Helem echad. Chayav al talachas achas. He's chayav to bring two karbanos for each one. He's chayav two karbanos each one. We learned it from the pasuk, as we said, either from Asa Ma'achas Mehena or from the lav of Lisvara Ish called Meshusechem. That's only by Shabbos. Ma'ashe'enke b'shar mitzvahs. By other mitzvahs, this won't apply, and we'll see in the Gemara in a second where the case is. But that's what I said. By other mitzvahs, it doesn't apply. Ma'ashe'enke b'shar mitzvahs. Chayma b'shar mitzvahs. Other mitzvahs are more of a chumrah. Sheb'shar mitzvahs, shogeg b'lei mischavan. Other mitzvahs, if you shogeg without kavanah chayev. Ma'ashe'enke b'Shabbos, we have a concept of misasek. Not every shogeg b'Shabbos will be chayev. If the guy thinks is picking up a wood from the ground, and meanwhile it was connected, that's going to be an example. He wants to pick up a twig. He looks disconnected. And meanwhile it was connected. Then he's not chayav on Shabbos. It's called misasik. By other averas, that'll be asa. By Shabbos, it won't be asa. Now, Shabbos. Let's see the case. Omar. Chayve b'Shabbos. Shabbos asher shtayim. What's the case? The Beis said, Shabbos, if man's over two averas, two of the lamentes malachos is over, he will get 2 karbonos, punishment, ma'ashegin other mitzvahs. Omar. Chayve b'Shabbos. Shabbos asher shtayim. Heichadami. What's the case? Can you please be more explicit? The difference between Shabbos and other surim. Ilema, the avad ketzira or tchina, he did grinding and he did harvesting. Then he chayav each one, of course. Chayav each one, as we said. Or the kvasei abasham mitzvahs. What's the equivalent case like other mitzvahs? The achel chaylev v'dam. They ate chaylev. Chaylev v'dam. Are you tell me you only have 1 carbon? What happens? A man did 2 averos. You ate chaylev and edam. Hachatarti b'chayav. Hachatarti b'chayav. Both places chayav 2. Both places chayav 2. Hachatarti b'chayav. Hachatarti b'chayav. So what are you saying? Why are you saying Shabbos is more chamor? Shabbos you'll be chayav a carbon each one. He is different. Not true. Ella says, well, no. What's the case by other mitzvahs? The man does a few averos in the book, and his chayav only 1. The achal chaylev v'chaylev. He ate chaylev v'chaylev. 2 pieces of chaylev. The kvasig of Shabbos. What's the equivalent case of Shabbos? The avad ketzira. We try to differentiate. By a man eats 2 pieces of chaylev, behelam echad. 1 carbon. Shabbos, a man does twice ketzira, behelam echad. There's only chayav 1. It's also chayav 1. Twice ketzira is not. There's no chilik malachas. Hachachad b'chayav, hachad b'chayav. Hayle the amalei. Puk tada the baro. That's why he told him. He's saying this in front of tada kamei. Shoavei Yehuda. Yeah. Rav Zakir Kav Rav Yechanan. A different version. This is what Rav Zakir said for Rav Yechanan. And Rav Yechanan told him, "Can you please leave? I mean, this is not what you just said now. Is not negaya. Not true. Not true. There's no chilik. For tomorrow, I have a way for you. My kasha. I have a way for you. Trying to find a chilik. The Gabi Shabbos, the man will be chayav a few karbonos. The Gabi other surim, you only chayav 1 carbon. Says the Gemara, my kasha. Dilmal oilam emelach avid ketzira tchina. Have a case for you. Maybe you did. You did ketzira tchina. Mash enke mishal mitzvahs means as the avodah zara. How do we differentiate between Shabbos and other mitzvahs? We're not talking about regular other mitzvahs. Of course, by chaylev, a man eats chaylev and then he eats chazer no carbon, right? He eats chaylev dam that he will get a carbon for each one, right? But he would talk about Mashegim Shamitz is going to avodah zara. Avodah zara, he won't be chayav each one. Avodah zara, he won't be chayav each one. Where do you know that from? Kadr of Ami. Amr Ami, Zibech, Kitay, Nisach, Palam Echad. A man served and worshipped this avodah zara. He shechted in front of it. He was macked in front of it. He poured the wine in front of it. Behalam Echad, Einachai Vela Achas. Then you only have 1. Different than Shabbos. Avodah zara is unique. Different. You don't have this chayma by avodah zara. You only have 1. So why don't you say that this is what the Beis meant? Why did Rabbi Yechanan throw him out and say, Puk Tanu Labara? What's wrong with this case? So you want to know. Calm avodah zara. Let me talk with everybody. I'll tell you why. Because the Sefer cannot be talking about avodah zara. Why? It says in the Sefer, chayma b'sham mitzvahs, the second part of the Beis says, other mitzvahs have something over Shabbos. Have a chomer more than Shabbos. Chomer Sham mitzvahs. Sham mitzvahs. Shogeg bleimis chav and chayev. By other mitzvahs, if you're shogeg without kavanah, you're going to be chayev. And avodah zara will have to be the case. We talk about avodah zara. Now, can you explain to me what the case is? By Shabbos, shogeg bleimis chav is potter, called misasik. The guys think he's swallowing his saliva, and it's chaylev, then he's going to be chayev. But on Shabbos, there's a level called misasik. So what's the case of a shogeg without the chav and avodah zara? You don't have a case. Why? You think so? The same thing. Third time for today. This concept. Once again, if you think it's a shul, you think it's a shul. And he bows down. Then there's no carbon of avodah zara. It's not even called the is avodah zara. Rashi's mashma is even mutter l'chatchila. Even if you know it's if you think you're bowing to Hashem in a Beis avodah zara. Either basically other cases you see a statue, the Sagit lane, you bow down to it. There is nothing. What's the case? You can't say this case is not avodah zara because we'll be stuck with the sefer. With the sefer, we'll be stuck. The case must be avira. Hani chalabaya. Hani chalabaya davachayev. Hani chalabaya davachayev. And the Rav davapatam aklam ema. Ella ba'im mutter. Ella in the case I'm mutter. What does that mean? Mashenki b'Shabbos the pot of the gamri. Well, a new try. Maybe the case is the man says it's mutter to do avodah zara. Then it's going to be a chayev a carbon, and Shabbos is potter. Shabbos is potter. Mashenki b'Shabbos. So tomorrow, Mashenki the Shabbos the pot of the gamri. The shad of Rava asks from Nachman if you have halama both, if you chayev for one or you chayev for all of them. But nobody ever said a man forgets it's Shabbos, Heilige Shabbos, that's potter. Says the Gemara, nobody ever said potter legamri. That's why we can't. The Reisha cannot be talking about avodah zara. That's why Rabbi Yochanan said took Tana Lebara. We don't have a case. Why can't I say that the Reish and the Sefer are not talking about the same case? My kasha. The Sefer b'Sham mitzvahs. Yeah, the Reish that says that Chayim b'Shabbos b'Sham mitzvahs. That's what avodah zara. Avodah zara. The Sefer is other mitzvahs. The Sefer where it says that other mitzvahs have something over Shabbos is not right. Not avodah zara. So other mitzvahs. What's the case of shogeg b'leimis chaven? How do you have a case of shogeg b'leimis chaven? By other mitzvahs, it's called a shogeg, and on Shabbos you potter. The man thinks it's saliva. Meanwhile, it's a piece of chaylev. That's not called a shogeg. That's called misasik. Misasik. He's trying to swallow his saliva. A very innocent thing to do. That's not called shogeg. That's called misasik. A shogeg b'Shabbos the potter. Why? So the skav like bias atalush. If you want to pick up a piece of a stick, disconnected, turned out to be mechuba, that's going to be potter. Mashein kain. But potter. So we have a good pshat. Why? Because Shabbos you have a special, unique halacha called meleches machshavas asher Torah. Meleches machshavas Torah. That's going to be chayev. So why can you say that? We have a good pshat in the brisa. Why did Rabbi Yochanan throw out this whole pshat? We have a good pshat, good case. The Reish is talking about Shabbos. It's more common than avodah zara. You chayev for each one. And avodah zara, zibach like kittiv and this you only chayev one. The same as we've got other mitzvahs. Says the Gemara, other mitzvahs there's dimas asik. Mashenkim by other mitzvahs no dimas asik. Says the Gemara, Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan Tamed, the Shitase throughout Shas doesn't like doing that. That once the Reish talk about one thing, say for something else. The Amad the Moki must stick to Reish b'chad tama, say b'chad tama. Rabbi Yochanan b'am metzia. It doesn't like that the Reish and the Sefer shouldn't be in line. Rabbi Yochanan mandim etarguli chavias aleva the chatana. Somebody would explain. There's not a Mishnah there b'am metzia. Anybody that would explain to me how we can fit this Mishnah with one Tana? I will become his servant. I will take his clothing to the mikveh, to the bathhouse, meaning that he appreciates when the things are organized and they fit with one Tana. Okay, Mitchell Morgan, Sabbath Gimel. Gets easier. It's easier. It gets easier. But they were still a good family day.